All right, so what we have here is a special match where we're doing some R&D to where the challenge that's being presented is the keyword of teamwork for characters has been altered to where teamwork is going to randomly choose a deck for the target and distribute that VP accordingly. So normally teamwork would work where a player would choose teamwork, target a foe, give that foe a VP, and then play the top card of their deck, returning it to the top of their deck at the end of turn. But for now, we're doing a test to see what happens, just shake things up a little bit. So as you can see, they have the start of the game going on here. They're rolling off. All right, we're getting some info here about the seating order and find out who is where. Who's player one?
Seating order hasn't been chosen because they're still drafting. Waiting on that draft to come.
Oh, okay, cool. I thought they may have been just a little bit further along, but it looks like we tuned in at the right time.
Like some hands are getting shuffled.
So I'm possibly playing a Beast Boy from what's showing up on the table?
Well, we know to get the R&D rolling, at least one of the characters get teamwork. Most likely Golden Glider or Bizarro.
Especially after the tournament today, Golden Glider made another solid appearance. Well, earlier today we had a good showing for the tournament where we had a 15 person show out and we're able to cut to the top 9, and we have our next winning team here. I have someone down on the floor right now trying to figure out what that team up was. Looks like they're coming back right now. What was it?
But yeah, he's right on the money talking about wrong showing for the tournament today. Golden Glider was a very commanding presence the whole day, but it was Ozymandias Vixen that won the day. Got first place in the tournament.
A little later during the last round, there was a whole lot of VP exchanging going on. Maybe the VP count got a little carried away and the Golden Glider wasn't able to recover from dishing out so much. I think it was like 61, 53, 47.
All I know is the sleeper team of the day was definitely Ozymandias Vixen.
So for Vixen, there's 4 options. So there's 4 options for playing Vixen. For the abilities, to where if you once per turn you can reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a hero, you can get +2 power, so that's always handy. That's treating your hand as if you had 6 cards, knowing that you'll have that 2 power. And how you'll know that is Ozymandias at the end of your turn, you draw 6 cards and then you choose 1 card to put back on top of your deck, and that is the character's complete ability. So it just pairs very well with Vixen with her ability to work with several types of cards and being able to rig the top of your deck legally so you'll know what's coming and what you want to do for the next turn. So what we were seeing a lot of today was that there were some very fortunate games where villains flipped out early for the Vixen players and they just continuously rigged the top of their deck to destroy cards until it reached the amount of their liking. Once they hit the right number for destroying cards, they made an easy transition either over to heroes or equipments to get really aggressive on the supervillains and close the victory.
That's a awfully consistent team as long as you're hitting the card types you want and the game plan you want. Gonna stay solid throughout the game.
There was a time or two today where we made rounds around the floor and saw a few of the Vixen players not have such a good run of it, where villains just unfortunately were not showing up for their table.
Well, at least with that strategy, you can audible to other card types to try to hang in.
Right. The power play of it is that if you can get heroes or superpowers, you really get to treat your hand as if you get to start with 6 cards for a hand, similar to King Shark Sinestro start.
Not to mention, you jump on an equipment or two, and you can really fight for those supervillains.
Right. Several times today, there was it seemed like the Vixen player was out. Then they would top off that equipment and sneak out a supervillain purchase, bringing them right back into the game.
Literally.
All right, so who's going first? Oh, we're running. Oh, here we go. And this will be start of the round now that they have the lineup going. So here we go. We have 1 hour on the clock, and we'll see who's standing at the end of this hour. Unfortunately, we were not provided with the names of the players, so we're going to go with their primary character to identify who is who.
Looks like first up is Cheetah Skitter Bizarro. Buy a couple cards, figures. Next up, taking the time travel off the Dawnstone. Next up is well, if they play some cards.
Looks like there might be some thinking this early in the game.
And then picked up his hand. Very distraught by the lineup, apparently.
All right, look like from that quick hand, someone has a 3-power hand. If I caught that right.
There we go. Now moving on to the Harlequin Weather Wizard player's turn. Time travel in the Dawnstar. Everybody's flipping over. It's going to be starters right now. So power off of that. Harlequin. Time travel. Just some interesting cards. Currently, Lightning Strike, very good. Very good card.
Fixing the order. Doing a quick correction here on the screen display for where the seating is.
I'll just put.
Work. The last seating order here, which is black mana. Making that Felicity. And Martian.
Weather Wizard. Weather Wizard. That Weather Wizard. Although the more interesting card, I'm wondering, the Dawnstar bot. Get that out of the lineup. Stop abusing that. Lightning Strike, though. That's the card I'm interested in. See who picks it up in the end. Very good.
All right, so what is it that makes Lightning Strike such a good card?
Well, you know, like all the Rogues Gallery set cards, you gain some VP as soon as you buy it. Drawing, always pretty strong, but the part of this card that'll really come in handy, especially for the Weather Wizard player if he can pick it up. +1 card, +1 power for each card you discard or have discarded this. So I'd imagine he's going to really try to get to that before.
Oh yeah, that could be very handy as well as having Harley as one of your main characters.
Definitely a lot of value for that team. Got a Dick Grayson flipping out though. I see some ongoings. Got some locations.
There goes that Lightning Strike. No hesitation in picking it up.
Yeah, seemed like a quick buy there for the Green Arrow player.
So here's Dick Grayson, and he's another power card. Even though he's a 6 for +2 power, he's more of a long-term investment. Being at the end of the game, he has a chance to really stack up the VP. For every ongoing, especially seeing these locations out here early game, it would not be a bad purchase if they decided to go that route. Was Terra?
That was Canary Cry picked up by the Martian Manhunter player. Interesting team over there. Interesting teams all around, really. Felicity, Martian Manhunter, Black Manta. Oh, quick nth metal buy there.
So with this format, I'm trying to keep an eye out for any teamwork going on, but apparently the Weather Wizard's hand's been well enough off to where he hasn't teamworked yet.
Yeah, it looks like he's saving it for the moment.
It looks like they went with team selection so they would keep a little bit of a handle on the teamwork, just so it wouldn't be a runaway teamwork landslide that would occur, just controlling how much is in this game.
Looking at 6 power right now. Picks up Protective Lance. Solid card, +3 power. And if there are any shenanigans putting a character under a superhero, you just name that card and you gain that.
Now, what's really interesting to see from that last play is that I missed it whenever he picked up the Royal Flush Gang, especially since it's the Weather Wizard Harley combo. That's some real opportunity to cycle around to it if he can get his hands on another Royal Flush Gang or something such as the Shapeshift.
Definitely some little VP farming on the side there if you can get going of those.
Now here comes one of the best defense cards in the game, Mammoth.
Good old Mammoth.
What's so great about him is that he really just doubles down on all efforts with the defense. Not only does he stop your attack, but you're able to draw 2 cards, and if you happen to still have any starters floating around in your hand or discard pile, you can nail one of those off.
Comes in hot on the offense with that +2 power as well.
Oh, definitely. Solid card all around for 5. So it looks like we have an interesting lineup in that 4 is the lowest cost, and there he goes. He's gone already.
Ooh,
here we
good
go.
Flip here. Green Arrow.
This could be some momentum change. Green Arrow is one of the few cards in the set that have a end of game condition, which luckily we got to see Dick Grayson already come out, but this one has a different criteria to meet, which is just 4 more other heroes in your deck, and then bam, you got 5 VP. That is a supervillain's worth of VP.
He should be going for, didn't go for the teamwork here.
No, Weather Wizard stands strong to the draw strategy. He may be investing heavy into the Royal Flush Gang.
Just figured with a card like Green Arrow flipping, it might be worth a VP to get it off the table.
Now, it seems like this is an interesting flip in that a lot of defensive cards seem to be hot right now. We had the Mammoth come out, Cosmic Staff.
I do believe that is a Mira without a discard pile, so that's 4 power.
So we could see a pretty hot turn happening right here by the Aquaman player. Let's see what he comes up with.
And there's 5 spent there.
Oh, activating that Kid Flash, replacing the card that you just bought. See if he gets lucky and it fits his theme or not.
Looks like that's all he was able to buy was just the Cosmic Staff. Definitely not a bad buy, though. A lot of good cards ripped, getting the top card of the main deck. Or bottom card, sorry, excuse me, bottom card of the main deck.
Oh, definitely. Especially if some cards come out that start feeding things to the bottom of the main deck, then you'll have exact knowledge of what you have the potential to get back.
Okay, got a Dawn Star plate out of the hand of the Martian Manhunter player.
Bring up Dawn Star because we missed that the first time around. So let's take a look at that for a moment.
Starts off as a time travel card. This one gets abused for just a bit before people pick it up. Most of the time, each player, including the player who's playing it, discards the top card of their deck. +1 power for each different card type. Doesn't look like a lot of power given here. Looks like everybody flipped over a starter.
So this will be a card that just gets stronger as the game goes on and diversity enters each deck.
Yep. Martian Manhunter player picks up the green arrow. Lasted long enough for his turn.
So it looks like we're going to see him start farming heroes, so it wouldn't be unusual for someone to start blocking hero purchases.
Well, speaking of a hero purchase to block, we got a power grow flipping. Solid power grow. 5 cost, +3 power.
Pretty straightforward, but I mean, you can't get better than +3 power. And we just passed the 10-minute marker in the round, and things look like they're keeping a pretty good pace. Unfortunately, they have not been able to buy the first villain yet, but that's not unusual for the amount of turns that have gone by. Although, from what we've been seeing people buy, it's about time for someone to have the potential to power off and reach those kind of numbers for the villain.
Well, this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Oh, looks like he's going for the teamwork now.
All right, so here's that teamwork mechanic coming into play to where he's trying to decide which deck and which player are going to be awarded the effect and VP.
Looks like it'll be the Green Arrow Kid Flash player. And teamwork's a punch.
He gets the 10.
He gets there, he gets there.
Villain bot. Let's see how hard this one hits.
Now, I'd be interested to see if he's going to start picking up that Dick Grayson with an ongoing supervillain.
Especially with 2 locations out there, that's 3 VP off of 1 card if he can manage to swing all of them.
It's pretty easy to slide by something like a Dick Grayson and the other players not really catch on to what you're doing until it's too late.
Cards such as that and T-Wing, they have a real tendency to show up, everyone panic about them for a whole second, and then just slowly fade into the background, and then someone picks them up and people forget how much VP they really have. So it looks like, is that a Jinx?
Yep. We got a Jinx flip for our supervillain.
So here we go.
First appearance attack, each player discards a superpower, each who cannot gains a weakness.
All right, this is one from the Teen Titans Go set, and it's a pretty straightforward effect.
Looks like everybody but the Cheetah player got a weakness, defended with that good old Mammoth. Batarang flipping. Vanilla +2 for 2.
The equipment version of Kick. Oh, look at that Swift buy. Swift buy. That Batarang didn't hang around too long at all.
Hugo Strange. Another solid card.
Oh, definitely well balanced with the draw 2 card effect. Also worth 2 VP, so a very solid buy all around.
Oh, quick buy of a Scrimmage Sticks too.
It looks like some of the players are being very wary about the VP total of the game and are counting out exactly what they need, so they're acting quick on it.
Rage Blood. Rage Blood, definitely an interesting card. +2 power, choose any number of players. Each of those players destroys a card with cost 0 in his discard pile. If one or more foes destroys a card this way, draw a card.
So, I mean, those are 2 really solid options on the board, along with the 2 locations and the Dick Grayson, which I believe that's a Wayne Manor for one of the locations, which is...
I want to say the other is Central City.
Let me see if I can find Central City real quick. Get us up to speed on what's happening there.
Bought the Rage Blood. Rage Blood, good use for destroying just your own cards, really, and then maybe including a buddy if you feel like drawing a card. And yeah, that other location does seem to be Central City.
Which I wouldn't be surprised if, let's see, who picked up Rage Blood just now?
The Harlequin Weather Wizard player.
So I wouldn't be surprised if next turn he sneaks in Central City just to start taking advantage of his superpower building that he's been doing.
Wouldn't be surprised if the Green Arrow Kid Flash player picked it up also.
That would be another good one. But these locations that have been sitting out here and accruing value of what they can do, I wouldn't be surprised now that if someone starts to take a serious look at them to pick them up and try to sneak in that Dick Grayson.
Ooh, Joker's daughter.
That's a good question. No, they're taking care of it. They're taking care of it. All right, just a little bit of confusion at the end of his turn. He let the card get out of his zone and forgot to pick it up.
Trying to leave a lightning strike out there. The heck?
That's some good player courtesy there, helping him maintain the turn. But Joker's Daughter here is another draw 2 card effect for 2 VP. And one of the benefits of this is it acts as, in my opinion, it feels more like an attack than maintenance just because you're able to pass a card to another player's hand. So essentially, if it's a vulnerability, it really doesn't do too much. Or if it's a weakness, it really doesn't affect their turn too much. But in the long run, it is a lot of disruption to start affecting their deck total card count.
Quick buy of the Hugo Strange, our Martian Manhunter player. And then Suicide Squad, always an interesting card. Always want to know how many of those are going to flip.
I always have trouble trying to decide on picking up Suicide Squad. I always think like, oh, there's one. But then, of course, every time I don't pick it up, here comes 2 more right on his heels. And the great thing about that is that alone, it's a 4-costing 2-power card, and it'll be worth 1 VP at the end of the game just by itself. But if you manage to swing multiple Suicide Squads or cards named Suicide Squad, you start to get a VP multiplier at the end of the game, as well as if you just somehow manage to get the 3 off in 1 turn, you get your foes to discard their hand, which translates to they skip their turn unless they have some power to pull them out of that.
Good old Suicide Run. Doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's gold.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I love extra turns. There's very few cards and opportunities that make that happen.
There's Detective Lance here. Nothing to call for people superheroes. Looks like he's going for the teamwork.
All right, let's see how this turns out. We got a 4. Looks like that's going to be the Martian Manhunter player.
And he gets a... Quite tell there. Three cost here.
Kid Flash, I think. I'm gonna take a guess here from the artwork, and I believe it's this Kid Flash. All right, yeah, we just got confirmation. That looks like it's the Teen Titans Go Kid Flash. So it looks like he has a total of 8 power on the board now. Let's see what he decides to do with that. Or is he still going? Oh yeah, he still has a destroy effect going. And there's the purchase of Joker's Daughter. Solid buy.
Oh, the other Kid Flash coming up. 2 for a draw card. Detonator.
Hopping around.
Get that weakness out of the way. There you go.
So it looks like what's going to happen is this Aquaman player is getting aggressive with his detonator. So he's going to be attempting to thin out his deck, get rid of all the starters and any weaknesses that get thrown his way.
Another interesting card now. Firestorm Matrix flips the lineup. Definitely a good card. Definitely a cool card. Firestorm, play the top card of your deck. Costs 5 or less. May destroy Firestorm Matrix. If you do leave that card in front of you, it gains an ongoing. At the end of the game, you destroy that card, but while you've got it, you can play it every turn.
So, I mean, that's a really powerful effect. but also it's a very risky maneuver because you're already sacrificing 2 VP by destroying Firestorm Matrix just to activate it. Not to mention however much VP you decide to leave out on the field, that will get destroyed at end of game, so you don't get to count it towards your VP.
Well, imagine being able to land it on something like that power girl that was bought earlier. That's 3 power a turn.
I mean, that might be worth the 5 VP to make that happen.
So now we got another interesting card in the lineup. Shazam. Gonna start making people's buy choices a little difficult. +2 power, reveal the top card of the main deck, play it, and then return it to the top of the main.
So not only is it a kick in itself, but then you get to play an additional random card on top of it. Which that could be anything from a 1 costing...
Oh, good move by the Harlequin player.
Ooh.
Whirlwind, drawing that extra card after he picks up the new ones. It's like an actual missed trigger there. Should have drawn an extra card off the Whirlwind for discarding his hand, and he didn't.
He didn't happen to trigger it for some other effect prior to, did he?
Whirlwind was the first card he played, so he could discard his hand.
Yeah, that looks like a missed trigger if he doesn't pick one up right now. But it looks like he is moving on to the Royal Flush Gang effect. So, missed trigger. Unfortunate.
DQ, get him out of here.
If this was tournament format, a player could catch that, and call a judge on that and try to give him a game warning if they're playing super aggressive, or just assist and help maintain the game state. But let's see how he recovers this turn. Oh, it looks like he might be pointing out the game state right now to him. And looks like they're talking about it, deliberating. And
there's a draw card.
Oh, a whole lot of nothing. So it looks like he had a turn where he just fizzled, getting through a lot of the cards that were just in the way. That could come back to haunt him. Very unusual for the Harlequin Weather Wizard team up, just in that they're consistently able to get 2 cards to help cycle through all that trash. Is that mirror going off without a discard pile?
Do believe so. Another 4 power mirror for him.
This is the second time this happened. Let me bring this up just as a friendly reminder.
Hero starts off as a kick, just giving you +2 power, but if you don't have a discard, she bumps that up to 4.
There we go, found it.
Oh no, it looks like this time around it was just +2 power. Like there was a punch and a discard pile.
Oh, there it is, very just at the edge of the screen.
Oh no, it was for 4. Discarded that punch to green arrow. That's what it was.
All right, so right now, does it look like it's 4 power showing plus green arrow's effect?
Use the free effect to pick up a Harlequin.
And just as a friendly reminder, since that card's upside down on the screen of green arrow main character's ability, you may discard a punch once per turn, and if you do, you pay 2 less to defeat villains and supervillains this turn. So
picked up a Steve Trevor with that one.
So here's my question now that we've moved on and that Shazam snuck in there. Who was it that very quickly picked up that Dick Grayson, and it looks like it's going to be moving on for those ongoings?
You know what? I'm not able to catch that.
See, we tried to warn about earlier in the broadcast. This is very sly, very quick. Tried to be very secretive about
They're
it.
sneaky. Got a Shimmer flipping. Oh, Shimmer bot.
Ooh. Shimmer could be a late game contender. Early game, it tends to help your opponents, but late game, it could really mess them up bad.
Oh no, you're thinking of a different one. This one is just each foe destroys the starter in their hand, and if they do gain a weakness, so immediate payoff on this one.
Oh, true. Yeah, good point. I think I'm thinking about the Black Lantern Green Arrow.
Black Lantern Green Arrow is if they destroy a starter in their hand, and if they can't, they destroy the top card of their deck.
Right, this is the card I was mistaking it for.
Not quite the immediate payoff there.
There goes Shazam.
Some weakness is given out.
Oh no, never mind.
Something.
Player just clarifying the game state.
I think with all of his cards back, I can't see anything. He bought the Dick Grayson though.
He did. Okay.
I just saw it.
Which one? The
Martian Man.
Martian Manor has the Dick Grayson. Okay, just clarifying for the game state. Keep an eye out for ongoings being purchased by the Martian Manhunter player for consideration at end of game. Now, reaching back to some of the origin stuff, here's an oldie but a goodie. Bane. 4 costing, +2 power, and attack. Each foe chooses and discards a card. Just a good momentum breaker. Very appropriately so for the character that break the bat.
We got the Grundy. Somebody give me that Grundy. Solid +3 power card, but when you buy him, goes to the top of your deck. Buy or gain. Goes to the top of your deck.
I've seen several players misplay that where they just buy them and just continue playing, forgetting to put them on top of the deck.
Oh, you have failed this city. Another good card.
They are progressing quickly. All right, is from the crossover 2 set where we started seeing some cards come out with the choose this foe attack. So rather than attacking the whole table, they're going to be choosing one foe for the attack to apply to. But excellent headhunting cards if you know exactly who's in first place or who your closest competition is. A good way to shift positions in the game. So let's say we got Joker's Daughter. Let's see if he passes anything to an opponent. There we go, dishing out the weakness. 1 VP hit right there.
Oh, nice, nice.
So for how this is looking right now, it looks like the Weather Wizard Harley Quinn character thinks that the Green Arrow Aquaman Kid Flash is the highest threat at the moment, since he's passing that weakness out. Which I really can't argue with that. Both players have had some very good buys throughout the game. Both have the potential to make some very high-powered hands.
The ability for cheaper supervillains is definitely concerning. Up. Taking the globe of transportation that was under the Felicity with Detective Lance.
Oh, what a steal.
Yeah, Felicity might end up hurting the Martian Manhunter player here. Felicity grabbing cards off the top of the main deck to try to recover them into your hand by playing superheroes, but you know he's getting that Detective Lance over and over while there are cards under there.
And now, just for a recap, the normal game state is when you have a card underneath your hero, you're supposed to keep those cards face up, correct?
Yes, no knowledge. Cards under superheroes are known knowledge.
So unless a card actually declares put it face down, it's public knowledge for all the players at the table. So unfortunately for the Martian Manhunter player, that Felicity Smoke is just going to make easy pickings for Detective Lance throughout this game if they continue to use it. And during that confusion of what was going on, since that was not straight from the lineup, He was able to pick up that globe of transportation from underneath Felicity, which is just another VP acceleration card. It will put the lowest cost from the top 3 cards in the main deck into the player's hand, and that's you really can't get more quality out of a card, really, of gain a card, be able to use it immediately, get more VP.
Oh, here's his Shazam. Playing a Riddler off the top.
Is it the new one or the old one? This one.
Now he's got a choice here. Pay 3 power. Chooses a foe, and they decide whether or not he'll gain the next card in the lineup or the card after that.
So this puts a lot of pressure on one player to where the first card flipped might be something where like, ooh, I really don't want that player to have it. But then you have to remember there's still an entire main deck of other potentials. So is the card that you're looking at really as bad as you think it is? Or should you take that risk and give him the next card? Because you have to remember there are cards in the deck that have either higher VP value or can have the potential to grow, like Dick Grayson or Green Arrow for that 5 VP if it goes off.
Well, Coriander flipped, and then the foe chose to pass it on to the next card, which was, I forget that thing's name. I want to say Destiny? No, that's not it. I know what the card does, and it's gain a card, costs 5 or less, and put it into your, or just gain it from the lineup. Gain a card of 5 or less from the lineup.
Fortunately, we don't have the best angle on it. We'll have to wait until we see it played, see if we can get a better read of it. Infinity. Do you know what cost it is? Free cost. I'm doing a little quick search here.
Look, starting to pick up those locations. Fuel that Dick Grayson.
Would it be Siren by chance?
Ah, Siren. There we go. That's the name of that card. I couldn't remember.
All right, so picking up Siren for the Riddler effect. Gain a card with cost 5 or less from the lineup and put into any player's discard pile. So a 3-costing cheetah that is able to go up to 5 rather than 4. Another good gain ability.
I don't know if you heard me, but Martian Manhunter player who had bought the Dick Grayson now buys the Wayne Manor, so starting to pick up those locations.
Being very sly about it too, waiting several turns before moving into action on those ongoings.
Ooh, Coriander and a Starbolt in the same flips. Starbolt just a solid card, +2 power and an additional +1 free superpower in your discard pile. For some teams that can really add up to just buying a supervillain on its own. And then Coriander. Just put a superpower from the lineup in your hand if you can't draw a card, but
I wouldn't be surprised to see if someone tries to get both of these in one round. I mean, that'd be a lot of cost in one turn spent. But if you can get both of these in one round, that's a fantastic pickup.
I'll tell you what I'm surprised about is you have failed this city lasting so long. Definitely a good buy. Definitely surprised to see it out there for as long as it has been.
This has really been a high caliber flip. This hasn't hit a lot of games hit that momentum where it's like, we have all 7 costers. We're having trouble making the cost, or flipping out just like all 2s and 3s that are all around kick level effects. But this game has had a nice momentum stand right around that sweet spot in the middle where there's just a lot of good effects going on.
Joker's daughter to pass a punch to the cheetah player.
All right, looks like the Weather Wizard is being very cautious of both players. Being last time he passed the weakness to the Green Arrow player, this time passing to the cheetah. So maybe he's having a little bit of trouble picking up on who has the VP lead, so just playing it safe, giving it to everybody.
6 power for the Coriander. Very nice, very nice. Ooh, a Heat Vision. Another good superpower flipping. +3 power. Destroy a card in your hand or discard pile.
This card
Just
alone,
a solid all-around card.
This card alone, early game, can make or break a momentum for the whole game. And it can really go with just about any team.
And immediately picked up. No surprise there. No surprise.
Clayface. Here we go. This is a stellar card, and with the cards that have been flipping out so far this game, this one should not make it past the next player.
Oh no, that Martian Manhunter player would pick it up immediately.
Fits theme, has great cards to play it with. Should make it unless he just has failure to launch and can't make 4.
Starting off with the Dawn Star, flipping for.
All right, let's see what they flip.
Superpower.
Hero. That's 2.
And we can't see the Martian Manhunter player's discard pile.
But it looks like they're giving credit for 3 according to the dice.
Then Shimmer.
So it's got 5 floating, so that Clayface should be gone. Unless he's going for the strange play. I say strange, but unless he's going for the villain, that Clayface should be picked up.
Dishing out some weaknesses. Blowing up some starters. Dishing out some weaknesses.
I was hoping to confirm if they discarded or destroyed punches or vulnerabilities, but I can't quite tell from the angle.
Well, it looks like the Green Arrow player used Cosmic Staff to gain the bottom card off the main deck, which was Sanity.
Oh, solid defense.
Oh, there we go. Clayface and You Failed the City, both picked up.
There we go. You failed the city, way overdue. Clayface right on tempo. Ooh.
Oh, and we see a Power Ring.
Power Ring and White Lantern Core. White Lantern Core, just a solid card in that there's practically no way to lose it unless someone just straight up steals it somehow. What could be very beneficial is the destroy cards that destroy and give power of X, where X is the card's cost, is one of the most synergetic ways I've seen White Lantern Cores used, just to gain that 6 power immediately.
And then let's pull up the Power Rings. Let's get...
Good point. There's quite a few power rings. Let's see what this one does.
The
See, is it the Star Sapphire?
Sapphire Power Ring.
Here we go.
Reel the top 2 cards of your deck. If they share a type, put them back in any order. If not, draw them. So if you're having a linear strategy, this won't really work out for you, but decks that just kind of pick up the best card at the time, definitely good value off this. You'll end up drawing 2 cards most of the time.
At this point in the game, I could see it getting passed up maybe 1 round around the table, but we are hitting the point of the tempo of this game to where the starters are thinning out, everyone's starting to hit their themes, how they want to hit them, so I don't expect it to hang around too long.
Cheetah player just bought the villain. And Blackheart is the new.
Blackheart.
Should be put a superpower you controller in your discard pile into the lineup. Cannot gain a weakness. Let's see how right I am on that.
One word. That's a different card altogether.
My bad. Black Fire. I don't know why I was saying Black Heart.
Okay, searching for the wrong one. Here's the correct one. Black Fire.
So no weakness involved. Just put a superpower they control or in their hand in the lineup.
Ooh, what did it hit? Did it get anybody?
It got the Rage Blood.
That'll be interesting to see if they put the Rage Blood back up. They got good use out of it.
Well, he just baned. See if he can get back up to 5 power to reclaim that Rage Blood. Although I feel like he might pass on it for the Starbolt.
Well, looking at that discard pile, I'm not seeing very many other superpowers. Although he's indicating. What is he up to? Straight up by? Doing a Starbolt and kick?
Yeah. I mean, he's already got some destruction. A little bit of a misplay there, trying to flip out more cards than necessary.
You have to remember to put that into the lineup before flipping a new card out.
But, you know, after getting some use out of the Rage Blood, I don't really, can't really find any fault in picking up Starbolt. That's just a powerful card.
No, and it may even just be a preventive buy, knowing that some other people have been picking up superpowers. So let's see what happens here. That was a pretty quick turn where he played mirror. Looked like he made 4 power. That was such a quick turn, he's passing on to the Martian Manhunter player. Or wait. A little bit of confusion going on here. It may be they just played the mask. No. Alright, no, just 2 quick turns back to back here. It actually is moving on to the Cheetah player's turn. Where the last player picked up Rage Blood. Six, 7, 8, 9. 9 power showing.
"20 minutes in the round."
I made that one.
I know it draws a card and it fence. Something jet.
See if I can find that one.
Also out of confrontation. Or multiverse, yeah, multiverse.
Or multiverse, see if it's in there.
Oh, another Joker's
Keep
daughter.
on. Yeah.
Well, if it's not the first. Search for. Detective Lance again. Oh, I'm going for the teamwork. Teamwork, the Martian Manhunter player. It's. We don't know. I'm there for 2 power. Having a hard time keeping that consistently on stream for us to be able to see. Oh, solid 10 power. Oh, there he goes. That's Blackfire.
Now let's see what this next villain is that flips out here.
Weather Wizard Harlequin really running hot.
Even after getting hit, having to put the Rage Blood back into the lineup, it looks like Rage Blood did what it needed to do before that hit. We have...
I think we got a Trigon.
Here we go. The non-banned one. Okay, here we go. Looks like each player destroys the top 3 cards of the main deck. Gain a card with the lowest cost, and you destroy... The lowest cost you destroy this way. And put in your hand. Discard all cards in your hand with cost greater than that card.
Fence is happening. Helm of Fate from the Harlequin player. Discarding 2 cards. Helm.
So this is one of those villains that could disrupt you for a turn, just make you have a low costing hand, or it could be something that just is beneficial to you. Just one of those strange circumstantial ones. But just as we're going on here, we're approaching the 15-minute mark, and it looks like we're on the last 2 villains. So we'll see if they can put this game away in an hour or not. It looks like they're on good tempo to do it, though, with this villain being a total of 15 power. If the next villain happens to be 15 as well, I think they can put it away. Are they still resolving?
No, next player's going the green arrow.
All right. Bracers.
Magic Bracers is a card that honestly not a card I'm very excited about.
At this stage in the game, everything's just going to fall where it's fallen, and this card is not exactly going to help accelerate into those next two villains. But it might come in handy for the Dick Grayson player if he continues to hunt those ongoings and manages a discard. But that's not going to present itself as the player before picked it up.
Kid Flash into a Catwoman.
Looks like Kid Flash is triggering pretty good now.
Is that a level 7? Level 7.
Love seeing level 7 show up whenever there's a lot of teamworking going on, but the teamwork player has been very conservative about it this game.
Well, level 7, good draw engine if you've got some VP, and if you want some VP, you can just attack and steal one from a foe.
I'll tell you what, the Black Adam players do everything within their power to get their hands on this so it can't be used against them.
Well, I'm thinking the Martian Manhunter player would probably pick it up at this point.
Being the only character out there that has VP on his characters, or the only player with VP on his characters, it'd probably be a solid defensive move.
Well, the Green Arrow player does have 3, but
Right.
I'm more so thinking get a little bit of a boost to that Dick Grayson, as well as being able to protect the VP got.
See, there it is again. That's just how sneaky Dick Grayson can be. Is that we're sitting there assessing the card, and then all of a sudden, there he is in the background going, hey, I'll double down on that VP value. So that's a sneaky maneuver right now. If the Martian Manhunter player decides to pull that trigger, he has a potential 2 extra VPs sitting on the board if he goes to buy those cards.
Gotta have somebody fail the city first.
I'm just going to pull this up now since we missed it on the initial flip, just to help stay aware of the game state of what's in the lineup. We have Rorschach's Mask, which is on the far right of the equipment. It's a +2 power card. If it's the first card you play this turn, each player discards their hand and draws 4 cards. So when you look at this as far as application, it's kind of a souped up Batmobile. In that you can, if you have a bad hand with this in it, you can play it first, get the 2 power, and then 4 more cards following up on that for a chance to rebound. But also, it punishes the other players by making them discard their hand and only have 4 cards for their following turn. But it looks like there may be some deliberation on what card to pick up. And he goes with a level 7. And looks like the card that flipped is Black Lantern Aquaman. A good solid draw card with an attack on the backside. Each foe puts 2 cards that cost 0 from their discard pile on the bottom of their deck. This one really can start affecting the players even this late in the game. And that if the player that picks this up has any kind of cycle, they could start to manipulate and start to create low power hands at the end of the deck for their opponents.
Got a showing of 9 from the debating on picking up the Black Lantern. Ooh,
there we go.
The Black Lantern and the White Lantern core.
Solid buy, not letting those VPs go to waste.
Oh, a Scarecrow. My favorite cards flipping this game.
All right, Scarecrow, pretty much the poster child for the attack cards. Not much better than give each foe a weakness. On top of that, it has a +2 on the front side.
Honestly, a card I'll buy no matter what the strategy. Never a bad thing to pick up a Scarecrow.
The main thing I look at whenever he flips is that I really don't want that used against me for the majority of teams that I play.
For sure.
So anytime you can get your hands on an attack like that that is going to be coming after you, just keep it out of your way. There's that globe going into effect. Did you see what card he snagged?
It's one of the teamwork cards. Hero. I forget her name.
See if I can track that down while we keep an eye on the action.
Her name might be Penny.
I want to say it's from the Rogues.
Yeah. Get rid of the P.
There it is.
Patty
Spivot. All right, so the gain of VP up front is one of the zero costing card or zero VP cards, gaining your VP up front. But oh, did you see which player? This was the Weather Wizard player that picked it up. Ideal in that you teamwork a foe. If you draw on one or more cards that turn, teamwork a foe. So this card in itself for that player shouldn't ever go off without being able to trigger two teamworks for free. But we got 13 power showing on the board right now by the Weather Wizard player. Not passing up that Scarecrow.
Not enough for the villain.
And looks like we have passed the 10-minute mark.
I was able to pick up the Scarecrow.
Did he have a gain effect in the lineup?
Coriander only gains a superpower. Not sure how he gained and played the Scarecrow.
We'll have to keep that in mind for after the game and see if we can talk to the player and get some details on that play. But solid play. Anytime you can pick up the supervillain and use a gain effect to where you're not buying directly from the lineup, but you're able to manipulate it out of the lineup, great play. And looks like we might be getting some clarification down on the field as to what just happened. So I saw Coriander was part of that explanation. Starfire? The supervillain? Hero.
Or it's like
okay, so it looks like they snuck in there.
We thought it was the Coriander.
During one of the quick turns where kind of lost track of the action, Warrior Princess made it onto the table and right back off the table into a player's deck. So if you play one or more Starbolt cards this turn, gain a card from the lineup and put it into your hand. So he was able to manipulate the deck and make that happen. That's how he was able to get the supervillain and a card out of the lineup.
And then he redraws the Starbolt.
He definitely has some momentum going into this last villain here, which, by the way, is what's the villain?
Necron. With a K?
Oh, let me try with the K. There he is. Yes, here we go. Here is Necron, the last villain of the game. On his first appearance, each player totals the cost of cards in their hand. The player with the highest total destroys a random card in his hand. Each other player chooses and destroys a card in their hand. So, unfortunately, that Starbolt is in the Weather Wizard's hand, so unless he had some kind of defense or something to dodge it, that could potentially get that. But rough villain for the last one, but we saw a lot of defenses going out this game.
Ooh, looks like one of the...
So I'm not really thinking it hit anyone especially hard.
Doesn't look like it.
Which, the great part is if you're not the highest total in there, that's a really good opportunity to get rid of one of those weaknesses that are plaguing you. Is that a White Lantern.
Ooh, White Lantern Power Battery. Man, some solid cards flipping this game.
A little late to the party being the last villain, but nonetheless a very solid card.
Gain all power rings from the lineup and then put them into your hand. Then gain any card in the lineup and put it on top of your deck.
So
Especially powerful if you've got some draw strategy in your deck.
if that Weather Wizard player is able to manipulate that combo one more time, he potentially could pick up the White Lantern battery, put it in a hand, play it, and gain the power ring in the same turn. That would be a stellar play. But let's see what happens if he'll make it back around to him or not. That's going to reach a very interesting point as we reach the 5-minute warning point. We'll see. It's more than likely we'll make one, maybe two more rounds around the table before time is called, depending all on how fast they go. A little heated debate going on at the table as to far as reaching some totals. But it looks like they reached a resolution. At midnight?
Dr. Midnight. Ooh, the second Heat Vision. And a Larfleeze. Game is crazy.
Let's see. We're going to play some catch up here as a little altercation. Got us a little bit behind, but a real quick catch up. We have Dr. Midnight that was just picked up. +2 power, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. You may discard any of them and put the rest back in any order. Just a very strong filter card.
At this point, card not might even see play. I'm interested in who picks up that Larfleeze.
Now, the real question is with the card that flipped out, is we have Heat Vision, which is the second one of this game, the +3 power, destroy 1 card in your hand or discard pile. But Larfleeze is the late game clutch to try to get some VPs in your favor. It's unusual to where it's one of the few cards that just count for the sake of counting. But at the end of the game, it's worth 1 VP for every 7 cards in your deck. And it is not unusual to have over 20, over 21 really, at this point in the game. So on average, late game for the pacing that this game has taken on, he's potentially 3, if not more, VP value at this point. So it wouldn't be unusual to see someone jump on that for the points. Not to mention his abilities up front for just during the game playing it. +3 power if you choose not to use the ability, or you can gain up to 5 costs worth of cards from the lineup and put them into your hand. So great farming late game, and as predicted, he is gone. To be replaced with a Black Lantern card.
Black Lantern Core.
Is none other than the Black Lantern Core. 6 power, 2 VP value, so it's solid already. Plus, it has the attack. Each foe gains a weakness. If one or more foes do not gain a weakness, you draw a card. So punishing and rewarding at the same time, just solid card. We have Joker's Daughters coming out. This could be a late game determination here. Maybe he has a weakness to dish out one more time.
Like he waved it off. No activation there.
So he just did the draw 2?
Yep.
All right, no punishment to dish out there. It looks like he's going to draw crazy though this turn. Let's see if... Oh, here we go. We're getting double teamwork off of Patty. First target's going to be the Green Arrow player. He gets a punch. And the second activation will be... Well, I hope he's doing a second activation and not missing that second teamwork. Because he has 1 power from the Batarang and 1 power from the punch. So we're still waiting for a second teamwork to resolve here.
Check the text on Patty one more time.
That's a good point. Let me bring it up.
Make sure we're not holding on to false hope here.
Teamwork a foe. If you draw or have drawn 1 or more cards this turn, teamwork a foe. And there it is. Second one for bracers. So another 1. So that'd be 3.
And a Bane. Getting in there with that Bane. Ooh, and the Trigon for the ability.
There's the 5. and Trigon. We didn't take a look at his actual playability. Let me see if I can pull that up and see what's happening here. Gain the top 3 cards of the main deck, and then destroy a card with a cost of 1 or greater in your discard pile. Oh my goodness. That is an acceleration card if I've seen one. All right, 1 minute left in the round.
All right, man.
30 seconds approaching in the time of the round. So he has 9, 10, 11, 12 showing. Will he be able to pull out? There we go. We have last purchase of the game with 20 seconds to spare. Let's go down to the field and see what these totals come up to. They finished the game though. So now they're just going to be counting up their totals, and we'll find out if we do need to get a written total for everything. I'll post it up here. Hey, can you holler at Zach and tell him to totals? All right. So exciting game here. When we're testing out the teamwork mechanics, it looks like one player was playing teamwork, and they're very sparse, very casual, or very careful about their execution of using teamwork in this test game. But it appears that it worked out in their favor. They had some good flips, some wise gameplay, and now we're just going to see what these totals come out to see if it all pays off. The sleeper of this game, I think, is the Martian Manhunter. Taking a guess, but we do have to remember that he has Dick Grayson, and we know off of the locations he has 2 ongoings for sure. So that's going to be a little bit of VP creep, as well as the tokens that he had on his character. But seeing all these cards laid out, the Weather Wizard has just a very impressive lean deck. I'm not seeing very many starters remaining in there. The Rage Blood did its job, got those out of the way, just making a consistent deck. So they're coming one by one. Okay. Okay, so I got confirmation they're going to report the totals in after they finish tabulations. And I'll see if I can snag an interview with one of the players to see what they thought about that game and just get a little bit of feedback, a little one-on-one, see what was going on there.
Harley Quinn.
Go ahead, come on in here. 31?
Yeah, 33. I had 30.
Harley Quinn had 39. And who was...
I had 30.
Cheetah had 33.
Yeah, and then
So we have one of the players in here, Green, was playing the Harley Quinn Weather Wizard deck.
Harley Quinn
So,
Weather Wizard.
That was a fun game to watch. I saw y'all kept tempo, and impressively enough, you bought that last villain with 20 seconds to spare for time in the round.
I saw that.
So,
I announced it whenever I bought it. I said, with 22 seconds to spare.
Did you say good game?
I said, that's how we do in Texas, you know?
All right, man. So watching this game, watching how you played, you had some very wise card manipulation going on. We saw you use Coriander with Starbolts to snag that free card as well as the villain. And we saw you get very good use of Rage Blood before it got returned to the lineup. It looked like it accomplished its job. So what's some feedback about this game?
The Weather Wizard just allows you to really cycle to those combo cards. So whenever I picked up the Warrior Princess and the Starbolt, I figured one of my plans was just discard my whole hand to Weather Wizard searching for it. And you even saw that turn. I pitched 2 superpowers to draw 1 card because I had the Starbolt to get the power back.
That's right, man. We saw you just go to town with your shovel, digging.
Just dig, and go find good stuff. I ended up getting a Joker's daughter, and that did the rest of the work that the Rage Blood hadn't done, passing off starters.
So for this match, you were the one player playing teamwork, and coincidentally you won. But we had some special rules on this testing game as far as how teamwork was operating. We explained a little bit to the audience of what was happening. Could you give a little feedback as to what we're attempting here and what was accomplished?
We're trying to make teamwork maybe not be able to just target one person over and over. So if it was from a main character, not a game card like Patty Spivot, you have to teamwork randomly. Roll a die. We did the player in front of me 1 2, the next player 3 4, the next player 5 6. So just make it random. That player is the teamwork player, and they get the VP. And it worked out well. I hit some lucky cards whenever I needed to, and got a little bit of power out of it and spread the VP out.
Now, one of the things that we noticed while we were in here commenting and watching the game, we noticed that that power ring hung out there for a long time, and that was not necessarily the trend whenever you see a power ring show up. Could you express to us the attitude of the table that was going on towards that card?
Well, Cheetah Skitter was to my right. Cheetah just always wants to buy so many low-cost cards. Like, really, you know, that player just wants all these cheap 1, 2, and 3s to track Skitter, and that power ring just doesn't fit it. The Martian Manhunter player was really just looking for expensive heroes and villains, so the power ring doesn't fit his there, unfortunately. And then Green Arrow player wants to discard and get cheap villains and super villains, and with Kid Flash, he wants to be able to put anything on his deck with Aquaman, so it just really didn't fit anybody's deck at all.
Now, one of the things that we noticed, that is very unusual for all the teams to break down like that, where nobody's wanting the power ring.
It's over.
Something that we noticed was that there was a Dick Grayson out on the field, and that the Martian Manhunter picked that up. At any point, were you concerned about the Dick Grayson going off and just producing an insane amount of VP? Or was it just you noticed what was available and weren't too worried about it?
I mean, like, once they had it, I couldn't even worry and just play my own game, you know, and hope for the best.
Well, all right, man. Thank you for being part of this test group, and congratulations on your victory.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoyed it.
All right, thanks to you guys for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Yep, bye-bye.